And as far as that comment on polling in Florida, I'm not gonna keep criticizing each pollster. I'm just gonna tell you this: there are 3 polls who consistently polled Florida correctly. That's it. And none of them have weighed in on the gubernatorial election or the Senate election. I could conceivably see some weakness for Marco Rubio in his base. But at the end of the day, if Marco Rubio is the nominee, the base is going to vote for Marco Rubio. And why is that? Because they feel they are under assault. Florida's not Georgia. Florida is not Georgia. You have to be a really bad candidate like Mitt Romney. And I don't think it's fair to put Marco Rubio in the same category as Mitt Romney. Right? It's not fair to do that. Mitt Romney was missing a slew, not only of his base, but of those, I lean to the Republican Party, but I may not always vote, working Tampa area people. But I'll go out and vote for Donald Trump, which is how Pinellas County got tied. Not just us. Look, what we're doing at locals is a big deal.
Yes.
We are making an impact on these people, in case you're not looking. In case you're not paying attention, NBC and CBS were forced to release adult samples this weekend. Because after a while, you just can't... Look, we'll never be able to go punch for punch with them. Because we don't have the money they have. We don't have the narrative power they have. What we do have that they don't is transparency and a track record. A good track record. They got a track record too. It just sucks. But what we have is transparency and a good track record. And after a while, they just look stupid. Mm-hmm. They just look dumb. When everybody knows that they may put out their poll, but in the back of their minds, they're going, but what about the guys who actually got it right? What do they have? What are they showing? And there's no doubt these people are being forced into being more honest. Not transparent yet. We're not there yet. But they're definitely being forced into being more honest. And that's a good thing. I'll be happy when we force them into being more transparent, but I'll take what we can get right now, guys. And I don't mean honest as in very honest, because there is no point at this. Look, in the modern era, there are already myriad problems, methodological issues. There are myriad problems with the polling industry. You don't need to add one on purpose, like polling only adults. But we'll let it slide this month. They polled adults, where the NBC News poll, I think, Alex pointed out on locals, it was like 76 or 78% registered voters. It's garbage. That is a garbage sample. But it's also the same news outlet that announced they wouldn't even go to a likely voter model before this last election. They were going to stick with registered voters. There's only one reason why you would poll only adults, and there's only one reason why you would abandon your duty as a pollster to dictate who is going to vote and who is not going to vote, to determine, not dictate, but to determine. To put it on the line and say, I think this is who is coming out. There's only one reason why you wouldn't do that. Because you're trying to inflate someone's numbers. Mm-hmm. And there's, without a doubt, CBS, NBC are attempting to inflate Biden's numbers right now. 48, 50-50, 48-52. That tells me that I was right. Had we kept polling through the week, Joe Biden would probably be at 45% in our poll. Yeah, Virginia's another great example. I would love to dip into that myself and see. I thought that Youngkin was down by 3, but that was another... Yeah, okay. But that's another perfect example. You know from the episode on Virginia how many... Look, 20 years ago even, but definitely 30 and 40 years ago, there was no difference between adults and registered voters. There really wasn't, not only because of turnout levels, not really that. Participation was higher in many areas, not just because of that. Demographically, there wasn't that much of a difference. there wasn't a huge population of illegal residents who don't really belong here or having a right to vote. I don't know why on earth you would give a rat's about their opinion. Who cares? You're devaluing U.S. citizenship simply by polling adults. Look, when it comes to marketing, branding, maybe economics, economic confidence, we chose registered voters because we're looking for predictive value here. I understand why some people still use adult samples for consumer confidence indexes and stuff like that. I get that. We're looking for predictive value in the polling we're doing. So even our economic confidence polling is still registered voters. There is no reason to use adults when you're talking about political research. None. The disparity between populations is too great. Ethnicity, by income, by education, by region. There are big differences between adults and registered voters. Forget about likely voters. All right, so, right. And you guys know from that episode, this is great questions, great commentary, guys. You guys know from Virginia, that is especially problematic in the state of Virginia. So why the hell would you poll adults? Because you're looking for an extra 8 to 10% in Nova? Tell you what, Young Kim wins that race. I would expect Democrats to still have an edge in the state of Virginia, even though the voter file is going against them. Did you guys see the latest voter file model we put out on locals? If you're a locals member, or a local supporter, and members can still go look and see the bird's eye view. Go and look at the last modeling we ran in Virginia. No registration by party, so we have to infer, which is incredibly accurate, number one. But number two, it's still apples to apples because we're using the same modeling over a duration of time. So we can still infer trends. And if Joe Biden won the state of Virginia by 10 points, we would expect to see Virginia go from being D plus 4, which is what it was before the election, to D plus 6, generally back and forth, to a nice solid D plus 8, maybe even a little more. But that's not what happened. We saw it go to from D plus 4 to 6 to D plus 1, and now it's dead even. That doesn't make sense. But let's say he wins that race. Oh my God. For Republicans, the trifecta leading up until the 2022 midterm would be yes for Newsom. Newsom loses the recall. Young Kim wins the governorship in Virginia. Folks, it would be all out hysteria and mayhem. And by the way, they would not moderate. That's not what history tells us. History tells us they would go full bore. Hi folks, Rich Baris, the People's Pundit, host of Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit, and co-host of What Are the Odds with Barnes and Baris. If you liked what the New York Post called above average transparency, then go ahead and like the page, share the videos, and hit that notification bell. It'll let you know when we're going to go live.